What's up YouTube, photographer ronnixphotography, and in this tutorial you are going to be learning how to color grade in Photoshop with no step skip. So if at all you want to follow along, I'll also be giving you these photos for practice and following along so that you can understand how to easily color grade your photos in Photoshop. So I have 5 photos that I'm going to be using for this very video, and I'll show you I can easily process and do the color grading. And before we proceed, simply like this video and don't forget to subscribe if at all you are watching and you're not yet subscribed to this channel. So simply like this video, because when you like this video it helps you to push and comment this video to many people and more photographers out there, and it's also going to help the channel grow in the long run. So I'll just come and select my raw files right here, and after selecting them I'll just simply drag them into Photoshop. So I'm just going to drag them into my Photoshop just here. Now that open them into Photoshop, or you can simply right click on the images and you can as well import them into your Photoshop. So you can see these are the 5 photos that I'm going to be using with or dealing with for this kind of tutorial. We have a bit short and this half photo. This is going to be working as a full photo, and we have the photo that contains oranges, because sometimes when you're trying to color grade photos, especially skin tones, it also tends to affect or alter the orange color or even the reds in the image, because the oranges and the reds are going to be part of the skin tone. So for this case, I'm just going to first of all process this photo. First of all, this one right here. So in order to process the photo, right now when you import photos into your Photoshop and those photos are raw files, they tend to open up automatically the camera raw filter. So in this case, I'm just going to first of all correct the lighting and contrast issues regarding this very photo. So I'll just come to the basic panel and simply drop the highlights and drop the whites, and I'll simply open up the shadows, open up the exposure of this image slightly, and add some contrast to this image. I think this is okay for this kind of image. So if at all you don't want to go through the hassle of going through these adjustments once again, and you want to copy the settings that you use for this image to the next photo, you can come to these dots right here, simply click right there and come to copy edit settings, and simply come to the next image and simply come back right here, click and come to paste edit settings, and it's going to paste the settings that I had for the previously edited image, but this is over exposed. So I'll just come and take down the exposure a little bit. I'm just going to take the whites down a little bit. But if at all I want to alter or continue changing the colors in this very image, I'll just come to down to where it says color mixer, and you can see that we have hue, saturation, and luminance. Hue is a given shade of a color. For example, if at all I target the reds, by taking the red slider towards the left hand side, I'll be making the reds more like the magentas, and taking it towards the right hand side, I'll be making the reds look like a color below it, which is the oranges. You can see how the reds have been affected. So that is how the hue slider is going to be working. Saturation is the intensity of a given color. You can either increase on the intensity of a color or reduce on the intensity of a given color. And luminance is basically the brightness levels of a given color, how bright or how dark a given color should be. So you can make the reds dark by moving towards the left hand side, or you can make the reds brighter by moving the slider towards the right hand side. And by the way, if at all you have Lightroom, you can as well use the same technique that we are using right here. So for this case, I just want to change or alter the greens. In this case, I'll just come to my hue slider right here, and I'll simply come to the greens and make the greens look like a color below it, which is the aquas. So I'll just come to and take it towards the aquas, and I'll do the same for the yellows and take it towards the green side. Remember, towards the right hand side, you're making the yellows look like a color below it, which is the greens. And this is going to make the subject pop from the background, but it's going to over desaturate the image. So for this case, what I'll do, I'll just come to the saturation and simply desaturate the greens and also desaturate the yellows so that my subject can pop out of the background a little bit more. So what I tend to do when it comes to such photos, I tend to edit and add a little bit of warmth. Remember, if images that are having a warm white balance, they are going to be easy to color grade regarding skin tones. So I'm just going to, after working on this, I'll just come to my basic pan once again and come to the temperature slider. So under temperature, you can either make the image warm by moving the slider towards the right hand side, and you can either cool down if at all the image is looking a little bit yellow for your liking. So I'll just come and warm up the image just slightly to around 5400 is okay for my case. And after doing that, the next thing is going to be, I'm just going to simply copy and paste the adjustments to the next photo or to the next image. So I'll just come right here and copy these settings right here, copy edit settings, and I'll just come to the next image and simply click right here and simply paste edit settings. And you can see just like that, we have been able to save time. And if at all you don't want the color of the greens, you can as well come and adjust them to your liking by simply coming to these options right here, the color mixer, and you can as well adjust them to your liking. You can even change the greens to your liking, and you can as well copy the same adjustments. So if at all you're dealing with a number of photos, you can simply copy the edit settings and you come to the next image, and just like that, you can now come and simply paste the edit settings, and you can see just like that we have been able to edit this image using a single click. And if at all it is too much for your liking, you can as well come and adjust the exposure if at all it is too much. So we are also going to come this image and simply paste our edit settings just like that. And if at all it is a little bit dark, simply come and open up the exposure panel just like that, and you can simply open up the shadows just like that. So right now we are done doing the basic adjustments to this very image, but this is not all regarding color grading in Photoshop. So you can see for these images that we have chosen, we can see that we have uneven skin tone transitions within this very image. You can see that the lower part of the body is a little bit different from some areas, for example on the hand area and the chest, and we have some varying skin tone colors. And even for this next image, you can see that we have a varying skin tone color right here and also on the face, and the face is not the same as the skin tones on the hands. So that is what one correct. You can see right here we have different or varying colors right there, and this is also different in this area. So that is why I've chosen these images, because they're a little bit complicated regarding the skin tones. So what I'll do, I'll select all the images by using Ctrl A, or you can use Command A on the keyboard and simply come to open. In order to open these images or photos into Photoshop, for us to understand how color grading is going to be working. So this is going to be focusing more on color grading, and we are not going to be focusing on maybe the skin retouching and even removing the distractions in the images. So right now we have these 5 images imported into Photoshop. So like I said, when it comes to Photoshop and color grading, we have varying tools that are going to enable you color grade better. And for this tutorial, we are going to be focusing more on the gradient map for evening out the skin tones, and later on go ahead and look at the color balance, then also look at the selective color adjustment layer, and finally we can go ahead and look at the other adjustment layers within Photoshop to enable us color grade these photos. So right now what I'll do, I'll simply come right here and choose our image 1, and in order to look at image 1, you can now zoom in. So for this case of color grading, or if at all you want to color grade, always make sure that you first of all retouch the image, because when you retouch the image, it's going to be more appealing regarding the color grading, and you're going to be having that kind of mood and morale regarding the evening out of the skin tones or skin color. So for this image, after you have retouched the image and you have a couple of layers, always make sure you first of all merge the layers. So for example, if I told you had your frequency separation layers right there and you have a couple of layers, you simply have to come right here to the layer panel, and first of all come right to layer, and you can now come and merge or flatten the layers. Or you can as well create a stamp visible layer by pressing, if at all you're using Windows, you can use Shift alternate Control E on the keyboard. Then if at all you're using Mac, you can use Shift Option Command E to create a stamp visible layer for, or this is going to be like a screenshot for the layers below. So right now we just want to, I'm just going to, or what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to illustrate for you how you can merge the layers if at all you have a couple of layers below here. So we are now focusing more on color grading. So in order to even out the skin tones, like I said, you can simply come right here and first of all come the adjustments right here and come and first of all use the gradient map option or tool. So after selecting gradient map, simply come and hide this layer right there by clicking on this visibility icon and select the gradient icon. So simply make sure you have selected the gradient icon right here, and after selecting it, simply come and single click on the color option provided for you by the gradient map. Any color that you're having is going to be working. So if at all you want to understand how you can easily edit, you have to first of all understand how the gradient editor is going to be working for your images. So for my case, you can see we have these toppers. So by default, always make sure the one on the left hand side is going to be the darkest pointer, and this is going to be the brightest pointer by default. So just put it at the back of your head. So if at all I want to copy colors in the skin tone, before copying the colors, after opening up the gradient editor, so make sure you have set the sample size to 5 by 5 average right here, because we just want the pointer tool to be precise as we're trying to copy and be precise copying the exact skin tones of the model right here. So we just want the pointer to be as accurate as possible. So 5 by 5 is going to be working better, and always make sure the sample is set to all layers right there. So after doing that, just come and simply single click on this pointer. Like I said, this first pointer is going to be illustrating and showing the darkest point of the skin tone. So single click on it and simply, so you left click on this pointer and simply left click once again on the color option, and you have to zoom into the image and look for an area that is going to be showing, or an area that is going to be a representation of the darkest point of the skin color. So I just come and choose this area right there to represent the darkest point of the skin of the model and hit OK. Come to this other side, the brightest point, single click and simply left click once again on the color option and sample the brightest point of the skin of the model. So I'm just going to choose that. So if at all you don't want a given selection, you can as well click around the image just like that to see what works best for you, or you can as well click and move this to the one of your liking. So I'll just sample the brightest point, and you can see it has sampled that color and hit OK just like that. Come right here to the middle, and in order to be precise when it comes to selecting the middle point, just come to the location and type in 50, and that is going to choose or put the pointer right in the middle. Single click on the color option and choose a mid-tone. So you just have to choose a color that represents the mid-tones or the mid-tone color of the skin of a model. So just come, I'm just going to choose this point right there as my mid-tone and simply hit OK. And just like that, we have been able to copy the colors and place them on this gradient line right there. So I'm just going to come and hit OK right there. And after doing that, I'm just going to come right here and simply activate this layer right there. And you can see that the effect is affecting the overall image. just come to the blend mode and change it from normal and change it all the way down to color. So if at all you are taking photos, if at all you are shooting photos from the same session, for example, this kind of beauty photos, all you have to do after mapping these colors, you have to simply drag this gradient map layer, just simply left click on it and drag it and just place it over the next image that you want to color grade. Just like that, you are going to be saving a lot of time. So I've just dragged it to my next image. If at all these were taken from the same kind of photo shoot, and if at all the images you are editing are having the kind of same skin tone, complexions, or skin color. So I'll just come back to our previous image, and after doing that, just come to this white layer mask and simply select it. And when this is selected, what you have to understand is in Photoshop, white is going to reveal and black is going to hide. So just come to this white layer mask right here and simply invert it by creating a black mask. So in order to invert a white layer mask, simply press Ctrl I if at all you're using Windows. Then if at all you're using Mac, simply press Command I on the keyboard, and that is going to hide the effect from affecting the overall image. You can now come and get the brush tool. So right click under the brushes and get the normal brush tool right there. And for whichever tool that you choose in Photoshop, the settings are going to always display right above there. So make sure that the hardness of the brush is set all the way to 0% and soft round brush is selected. Then also make sure that the opacity is set to 100% and the flat 100%, and the mode has to be set to normal. And always make sure to have black and white on these two color swatches right here. And if at all you have any other color displaying right here, you can press D on the keyboard. So D is going to reset and put black and white on these two color swatches. So make sure you have black and white on these two color swatches. Then make sure that white is the foreground color. So to switch between black and white, you can use X on the keyboard, or you can use this arrow key right here, or this arrow icon. So make sure white is the foreground color. And now you can increase on the size of the brush by using the bracket keys on the keyboard. And if at all your brush is showing a plus icon, simply press the caps lock key right there. So by doing that, we're now going to paint on the skin using a white brush. So white is the foreground color, meaning when you are painting using a white brush, it is going to be revealing the effect that was hidden behind this black mask. Hence, color grading and creating that kind of uniform skin. So I'm just going to be doing this quickly. And one bonus tip as you're trying to learn how to color grade is always make sure that you are using a monitor that is going to be showing you the accurate colors, because you can't color grade something that you're not seeing well in real time. So always make or put that into consideration, because you don't want to be disappointed after spending hours and hours trying to edit or even color grade. So right now I've painted on the skin and I've painted extras. So in order to erase those extras, simply press X on the keyboard to have black as the foreground color right on these color swatches. I'll reduce on the size and erase the color grading, for example, from the eyes, or reveal back the original makeup of our model, just like that. Come and erase it from the jewelry right there, just like that. I'll put this back. So I've erased it from the extras. So black is going to erase as you're trying to paint on the skin, and white is going to reveal the color grading. So right now we are done creating a uniform skin color. So this is the before after. And if at all the effect is too much for your liking, you can come to the opacity slider and simply reduce on the opacity of the color grading. So I think at around 40 or 52, that is okay. So this is a before after. We have color graded this first image. And if at all you want to proceed, remember I told you are going to be looking at different tools. So the first one has been handled right in this case. So the next tool is going to be our selective color right here. And basically selective color is going to be basically dealing with these colors. For example, if at all I come to the reds, and if at all the skin is a little bit too green for your liking, or it is containing cyans too, you can simply come and make it a little bit more towards the red side by moving this towards the red side, and that is going to be introducing reds. Then if at all you want to get rid of magenta from the image, you can simply introduce greens to the image by moving the magenta slider of your red channel. So I'm just going to add a tiny bit of the magentas just like that. So if at all it is too much, you can as well change it to the one of your liking. And this, the black channel basically either darkens the reds in the image or simply brightens the reds in the image. So I'm just going to do that. So make sure that as we're doing all this, relative is also selected right here, because we don't want the effect to be too much for our liking. So after we have done this, you can now come back to the black channel, and if at all you want to play around with the channel right there, you can easily intensify black. So whichever color that you chose is going to be affecting the color more under selective color. So if at all I am to use black as an example, I can either increase on the blacks of the image or simply reduce on the blacks in the photo. So what I'll do in this case, I'll simply slightly increase on the blacks of the image. And if at all the blacks are containing a little bit of yellows, you can simply come to the yellow slider under the blacks, and you can simply remember the opposite of yellow, as we saw in camera raw, is blue. So by introducing blues, I'll be eliminating the yellows in the blacks of this very image. So I'll just leave it at around 7, or if I told it is too much, I can leave it at 6. Then the next tool that we're going to be looking at is the color balance. So under color balance, so if I told the effect is too much, like I said, you can always come and reduce on the opacity. So at around, I think 86 is okay. So we are also going to look at color balance right here. So I'm just going to come to color balance, and color balance, you can as well affect midtones, highlights, and the shadows. So if at all I want to add a given color, for example, to my highlights, you can as well come and add greens to the highlights. You can see that is going to be making all the highlights towards the green side. You can as well add a given color, that is the magentas, and you can see the highlights are having magentas. So make sure preserve luminosity is checked, because you don't want to affect the lighting values in the image. So for my case, I'll just come and add a tiny bit of the greens towards my highlights, and you can as well add a tiny bit of cyans to the highlights, just like that. Around negative 10 is okay. Then you can as well come to your midtones, and simply you can either cool down the midtones if at all the image you're trying to edit is a little bit warm regarding the midtones, or you can as well make it warmer in the midtones. So I'll just cool down my midtones slightly to around +2, and +2 looks okay. So right now we are done color grading this very image, and you can as well add contrast to the image by simply creating one more adjustment layer right here, which is the black and white adjustment layer. So just come and select black and white and change the blend mode from normal to multiply. Remember, the multiply blend mode is going to be darkening the image. So by darkening the image, you are simply adding contrast. So just come to opacity and simply reduce on the contrast, just like that. I'm just going to leave it around 8. So let me show the before and after for the color grading of this very image. So this is the image. I'll just hold down the option key, or you can use the alternate key and left click. You can say before, after, before, after. We have been able to color grade this image in Photoshop. So I'm just going to put this in a group, the other adjustments right here, and pressing Ctrl G, because I may need to use them on other images. If at all I have a couple of images that I was editing from this kind of shoot, so by simply selecting and putting these other adjustments in a group. So I'm going to come to our second image, and remember I used, or I just dragged this as we are starting. Just select this and press Ctrl I if at all you feel like the two were having a closer skin tone or the same skin tone. And I'll just get a white brush and simply come and zoom in by using Ctrl plus on the keyboard. So you can just come and paint on the skin if at all you felt like the two were having the same skin tone. But if at all the skin tone is varying, you have to also copy skin tone from this very image and apply it to this very image if at all the photo shoot was regarding or involving this other kind of model. So I'll just come and go through our previously gradient map right there, and I'll just hide this, select the gradient icon and single click, you left click right there on the color option. I'll copy colors from the midtones to the brightest point or the shadows. So single click on the darkest point, open that, zoom into the image by using Ctrl plus, or you can use Command plus, and click on the darkest point of the skin color. Hit OK. Come the brightest point right there. Choose the brightest point of the skin. Hit that. Come to OK. Click in the middle to create a point and simply type in 50 so that it selects the mid-tone. Click right there and choose the mid-tone of the skin of the model. So I'm just going to choose right there. Or you can as well adjust the one to your liking. Hit OK and just come right here and also click OK. Activate this icon right here and simply select this and invert the option. Ctrl I after selecting the white layer mask, and with the brush tool you can now come, sorry about this, Command Z, change the blend mode from normal and change it to color, and now you can now come and paint on the skin. So always make sure to change the blend mode to color so that it doesn't affect the brightness values or the luminosity values. Just like that. I'm just going to come and paint or do a quick job. So you can see as you're painting, we are now creating a kind of uniform skin tone. So just come and take your time while trying to do this step, because you don't want to change or do mistakes regarding our editing, and you just want the perfect or the most perfect results. So just come, you can see that this area was different from the hands area or the hand area. So just come and paint on only the skin. Don't mind if at all I'm trying to paint extras. I'll show you how you can easily correct that, and just like that we now have a uniform kind of skin. You can see how uniform the skin is right now. So if at all you painted extras, remember what I told you, switch the brush back to black and zoom into the image. Reduce on the size by using the bracket key on the keyboard, and you can as well paint. Remember we have been painting using a white brush, and black is trying to erase the extras that we painted when you are trying to paint on the skin. Reduce on the size and remove the color grading from her dress, or even remove it from the eyes. In this case you can as well remove the color grading from the lips. So if at all you didn't paint on the skin, switch the brush back to that color and you can switch. So I'm trying to erase or perfect the color grading so that it can only affect the skin. And for this case, always make sure to have at least a graphics tablet, because that is going to help you do this faster. So I'll use black and erase color grading. So I'm trying to do a quick job because I don't want it to be a long tutorial. So just like this, we have uniform skin. So I'll just come the opacity and simply reduce on the opacity, just like that, until when I feel like it is okay. Before, after, before, after. So now the skin is uniform. So you can now come to the previous image and simply drag the whole group and move it to the next image and simply paste it or put it on top of that image. And you can now come the opacity and change it or adjust it to the one of your liking, and just like that you're going to be saving a lot of time regarding color grading. So I'll just come to the next image right here, and we are going to do the same because I feel like these two are having a different kind of skin tone complexion. So I'll just come and go ahead to my gradient map once again and copy color from this very skin. So select the icon, click right there, choose this pointer, open this, and now come the darkest point of the skin, sample from there, and choose the one of your liking. Hit OK. Brightest point right there. Choose the brightest point of the skin right there, and hit OK. I'm just going to open this once again. Click in the middle, set this location to 50, just like that. Click once again and choose the mid-tones, just like that. Come and press OK and hit OK. Activate it, change the blend mode from normal and change it all the way down to color, just like that. Select this and press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard. With a white brush, make sure white is on top, opacity and the flat 100%, reduce on this, and just come and paint on only the skin, and you can see just like that is going to make the skin look uniform. So I'll just do a quick job right there, and just right there, come the skin or the face and just paint. So I'm just doing a quick job like I said, but always take your time as you're trying to color grade or edit your images. So switch the brush back to black and erase the extra color grading that you may have included in your photo. Reduce on the size and erase the extras. So I'll just do the same for the lips and the eyes. Remember, I don't want to change the original makeup, just like that. So after doing that, the next thing is going to be coming the opacity and reducing it if at all it is too much. So at around 51, before after, the skin is uniform. Come to this and simply drag and drop it over the next image, and just like that you have been able to change or color grade in Photoshop by just dragging layers. So the most important thing when it comes to color grading in Photoshop is going to be having a uniform skin tone if at all that is your major interest, and dragging and dropping them to different areas. And you can as well create a preset or alert for that kind of color grading. But before you create a preset or alert, I'll be sharing that in another video. Always make sure that you don't have any other layers and you don't put this in a group. So this is focusing more on showing you how to color grade. So same for all the images that you're going to be having within your Photoshop. So just like that, you're going to be able to have nice and more professional looking images regarding Photoshop, and everything is going to be perfect. So always make sure that you understand these steps that I've showed you or that I've been able to show you in this very video, and you're going to be having the best and more perfect results. And one bonus thing, after color grading, always do the eye whitening, because that is going to also transform your images to a whole new level. Remember, sometimes as you're trying to color grade the images, they're going to affect the eyes and they may make the eyes a little bit more on the warm side or yellowish. So just come to adjustments and create a hue and saturation adjustment layer. And for those that prefer to use melanin skin tone, just come to the master and simply select the red is right here, and you can make melanin skin tone just like that. You can see how that is going to be affecting the image. So I'm just going to first of all show you how you can whiten eyes. So just come to the master and come to saturation and simply desaturate the image to around negative 80 or 75. And with the white layer mask selected, simply press Ctrl I, or you can use Command I on the keyboard to invert that. And with the white brush selected, opacity in the flat 100%, make sure you have white as the foreground color. And now zoom into the eyes. Remember, we desaturated the image. So by just coming the eyes and painting using a white brush, we are simply eliminating the other random colors that are not meant to be in the white area, and that is going to be whitening the eyes in the long run. And don't forget to check out the retouching videos, because retouching is going to be improving your images to a whole new level. So I'm hoping that you have understood how you can easily color grade the images in Photoshop. So if at all the effect is too much, like I said, always make sure to remember to reduce on the opacity of your color grading so that the results can be as nice and as natural as possible in Photoshop. So hoping you have understood color grading in Photoshop. I think I'll do the one for Capture One, and those that would love to watch the Capture One video, simply drop a comment in the comment section. Ronnix from Ronnix Photography. Thank you for watching, and see you in yet more videos on this channel. And don't forget, keep practicing and also keep creating.